Hello again. It's been a week since my last update. So I believe my last video was week 1 after the rotator cuff surgery. And today's actually the day after 2 weeks. Didn't get a lot of time yesterday. We've got some company in town, and so that kind of distracted me a bit, which is good. So this is the day after 2 weeks since surgery. And I guess overall, assessment, if I were to kind of just boil it down, pretty positive. Again, pain has been very, very minimal. I have sneaky suspicion based on a lot of the videos I watched prior to my surgery, as well as those I have watched since my procedure, that I am probably in a minority as far as the minimal pain that I felt. There are times when it's 1, 2, and my wife says, "It sounds like what you're describing could be like a 3, 4." Again, I don't know really how to quantify the pain. It's kind of like a very maybe low grade headache, right? It's there, doesn't feel right. It's a little bit of discomfort, but it's not really driving you crazy with intense pain. So I do have some pain occasionally, but for the most part, I don't wake up from sleep. I've been getting anywhere from 5, 6 hours to 8 hours. Still sleeping completely in the recliner. I have not made the move over to laying flat yet on a bed. I'll probably think about that in the next couple of days. I wanted to get 2 weeks under my belt based on how things had been progressing. But I have to say, over the last week, had a couple of nice milestones. Went in for my first post-op appointment. Today is Saturday, so this past Tuesday, and saw my PA and the orthopedic surgeon that performed my rotator cuff and my biceps tenodesis procedures, as well as some other cleanup inside the shoulder. And he said everything looks good. I'm healing well with my 6 incisions. I had a couple of questions for him, so he wasn't going to attend as part of their normal practice, but I had asked because the questions I had were something he could answer and the PA could not, because the PA, I don't believe, participated in this procedure, but the orthopedic surgeon would have that knowledge firsthand. So one thing I found surprising is I had the supraspinatus tear. That was my full thickness tear, and that was what was driving me to this procedure. And then as they reviewed the MRI, I saw that they found that there was a small tear in the biceps, and it was the curling of weightlifting that actually drove me through the pain cycle that ultimately led to x-rays, then MRI, and then ultimately deciding to get the procedure done. So the open biceps tenodesis, I did some more research on that. And so there's a channel that runs across the front of the head of the humerus. And that tendon, one of the 2 tendons from the bicep, runs in that channel and then anchors down inside the rotator complex. And the surgeon had to remove that, take it out of the channel. And it looks like there was 3 possible locations that this procedure normally anchors on. And from everything I'd read and heard on some videos that I watched, the one in the middle, which is where they attach it to good solid bone, just below that groove, so that there's something called groove pain that a couple people referenced. If you have it, if you cut it and then attach it to the top of the humeral head, it's still in the groove, and that could lead to groove pain was the term that I heard. So my surgeon decided to anchor it just below the groove, which there's a lot of good solid bone to anchor into. But what I found surprising is because of the tear of the supraspinatus and then the tenodesis procedure on the bicep, I was thinking 4, 5, 6 anchors, total of 3 anchors for everything. So he only used a single anchor for the supraspinatus anchoring, and then apparently the end of that tendon was curling up. So he put a second anchor in closer to the footprint on the humeral head where the tendons for the rotator cuff normally anchor in a healthy shoulder. And that second anchor was used to kind of flatten out the end of that supraspinatus tendon. And then the third one is where he kind of interwove, mattressing was the term that I had heard, and he actually wrote in his post-op report. So he kind of intertwined the biceps tendon with the pectoral tendon that comes across into the armpit area, and that was the third anchor. So it also indicated to me that because he only had to use 3 anchors, that there was good solid bone to anchor into. So I should have some good healing capabilities there. And again, I had the subacromial acromion decompression done, and then an excision of about, I think it was 8 millimeters off the end of my clavicle, right? And then there was some cleanup in there. I had some minor arthritis, nothing major, but in certain areas within the shoulder area. And so all of that led to where I am today. So got to see my orthopedic surgeon, and he signed off on, the first, week and a half is looking good. I had the sutures removed at that same appointment. So of the 6 incision points, 5 of them used permanent stitches. So they had to actually be removed. Those sutures were removed, and then they put new steri-strips on. And then I have the original steri-strip still here. I can feel it here, 2 weeks in a day. That has the biodegradable, dissolvable sutures in it. So we just left that in place. But all in all, everything is working well. I did go off of my ibuprofen and the acetaminophen since this past Sunday. I had read a number of reports, and maybe you've seen some of these as you've done your research for what you've gone through, or for any of you that are getting ready to go through a procedure like this, that there's some conflicting reports on what ibuprofen can provide from an anti-inflammation perspective, but also that it's supposed to slow down the healing process, according to some of these reports, of tendon tissue. And so I wasn't having a lot of pain. So this past Sunday, I decided to forego all painkillers just to see where I stood. And for a number of days, everything seemed to work fine, still works fine. And it wasn't until last night, I found another gentleman that put together a nice video series about 4 years ago. And his PT made a very good point, because he made the decision of the patient that, hey, there's supposed to be these anti-healing tendencies, that is attributed to ibuprofen, and other reports say that's not the case. But he decided not to continue taking it because he felt like he was taking too much and it might be hurting the healing process. And then his PT made a very good point that, okay, well, that is one side of the coin. The other side is, if you're not taking ibuprofen and we're getting continuous inflammation in the area, the inflammation itself can kind of impede the healing process. So now it's one of those, do you take it? Do you not take it? If you take it, how much do you take? So I'm trying to find a balance. I just took 1 ibuprofen last night before bed. I took another one this morning. Again, I don't have any pain, but I want to make sure that I'm not having anything working against the healing process. So I'm hoping that if I just minimize maybe the amount that I'm using in combination with the ice, I'm still icing on a regular basis, that I wanted to find out now that I'm going to PT, which I'll touch on here in a second, that I'll have a better understanding about the range of motion that I've had at my second session, which I had Thursday. So 2 days ago, I went to my PT and had a full hour session. The first one was eval last week, but I did some exercises. And these are exercises that were given to me by my orthopedic surgeon and the PT support team. And these are probably very, very similar to those of you that have been through this or that you will be going through this. But again, this is not medical advice. I am a layman when it comes to all of this. And everybody is different. Everybody's surgery can be different, whether it's nuanced differences or it's major differences. And not everyone has all the work done that I had done. And then there's others that had different type of work done. But the only 3 exercises I'm doing right now are, I'll use my good arm here, is the pendulum swing. Now I'm not bent over as far as I would, but when I first started out, I was probably getting about 6 to 8 inches in this motion, and I could really feel the tightness in my shoulder. And then the other one is, again, bending over, and I bend over almost to 90 degrees because I found that I was locking up the shoulder muscles, guarding, and I was told, I need to figure out how to relax those, and I'm having some real trouble with that. But the in and out, right, the sideways motion. So I was probably getting about 8 to 10 inches here, so a little bit more. And this has been over the first week or so of doing these exercises. And then the other one is I open my palm just because I didn't want to clench. And then with my good hand, I'm doing just a passive curl motion, and I do 15 of those. And then the swinging is for 2 minutes, and I do that twice a day. And so I started out, as I mentioned, 6 to 8 inches on one, 8 to 10 on the other. And then at PT, my range has increased. Again, little victories, right? These are small victories, and I'm trying to continue to stack these up to keep the positivity going, making sure I'm patient about this. But I'm now at my measurements roughly, again, these are ballpark, but for my front to back, I'm at 12 to 14 inches, and I can feel it. Right? You feel when you come to the top of this motion up, and when you're down horizontal, but the motion to bring your arm forward, I can feel the tendon is really, really tight in there. And so I'm getting about 12 to 14 on that, and then the sideways motion, I'm around 14 to 16 inches. So give or take, doubling the range of motion here just in the last week and change. So again, good little victories. They make a difference. Let's see. I had a scare a couple nights ago. It's the holidays here. And so I went to close up downstairs, and one of the blinds I saw was open. And so I wanted to get to behind the tree and close the blind off, and it was dark, but we had a nightlight, good enough vision to see. I tripped over somebody's shoes, and the first thing I thought is, oh boy, here I'm going down, right? Slow motion in your mind. You're thinking, yeah, I can stop this, and no, I can't stop this. I caught myself, but I clenched up both of my shoulders in anticipation of a fall. And I had the sling on just like it is right now. But I caught myself. I was very, very fortunate. I with my other foot, I caught it. But for the next 10 minutes, I really, really felt it. And I, like a lot of others have said, was really worried, did I just, yank some of the tendon off of one of the anchors? And you don't know. You're not going to go back in for an MRI. So I was worried about it even after the pain subsided. And it wasn't a sharp pain, but it was definitely discomfort. It was like a 5 or 6. But since then, everything seems to have been fine. And that was before I went into my second PT session. So I think I'm okay there. I guess, some other things I would just say is, be kind to yourself, be good to yourself. I'm kind of a type A personality, and I'm driven like, probably a lot of you. And I've got to learn to be patient, that I can't push at the same rate I am used to for things you do when you're healthy. And so I told the PT and even the orthopedic surgeon that, look, I'm setting the appropriate expectations for myself 6 to 12 months to get back into hopefully a majority of what I like to do. Lifting weights, that's TBD, but I don't want to push myself and say, 3 months and I've got to be 100%. It's not realistic. So it's not healthy for my mental approach. It's definitely not going to be it's not going to be good for my physical healing process as well. So anyway, just I'm I'm learning how to make sure, you can demand of yourself, but I'm listening to the experts, to my orthopedic surgeon and to my PT support group. And they know this way better than I ever will. But I'm also allowing myself a little bit of grace to be not so hard on myself, right? You might have days. I really haven't had a day yet, but I'm only 2 weeks in. So again, setting the appropriate expectations. I might have some bad days coming up, or days that maybe I don't feel like I'm making progress. And if you just continue to make progress, but then you plateau, you start worrying, oh geez, is this all I get out of this? But I've watched, again, a lot of videos, and it seems like all of those that have gone before me going through this have basically gone through the same thing, right? It's not linear, but it is ups and then some downs, but the general trend, my goal is, and again, keeping the right attitude to make sure that I'm continuing to make progress. Let's see. I was told that I could take the abduction pillow out by my PT person a couple days ago, and I told them that, when I go without my sling on for a little bit, like doing my exercises, when my arm hangs at its side, you can feel it. It's not painful, but you understand that there is something holding the flexibility back from being normal motion. And so I took the pillow out yesterday, tried to do most of the day. It was uncomfortable for me. I like my arm being out and away from my body, which is what the pillow is supposed to help provide, that stability. So yesterday evening, I decided to put the pillow back on, slept with it, and I'm still using it today, and it feels much better. So that's just for me. I'd like to get rid of it because it is a cumbersome piece of equipment here. But I'm also trying, again, baby steps. I just want to take a little bit of progress every day. And maybe in the next couple of days, if this has gotten a little bit stronger, a little healthier, that I'll be okay with that. Look through my notes here. Again, I'm getting good sleep. I'm trying to ingest quite a bit of protein, not overly doing it. Too much of anything is not healthy as well. But I still start my day with a 30-gram protein drink. And then for dinner, I will have a 20-gram protein drink. And then usually for lunch, it might only be my lunch. But the only thing I have for lunch, I'll have a 15 or 20-gram yogurt, right? So trying to get some protein in to help with some of the tissue regrowth, and making sure that I'm giving the muscle. Mostly it's for the muscle, but I don't know how much the protein actually helps the tendon. Maybe some of you know. I have not looked that one up, but I do at least want to try to give my musculature as much fuel as it needs to help get through this process. I guess the last thing is I had forgotten to put my shower sling on when I took a shower earlier this week. I've been doing showers on my own. I have everything there readily available, and liquid soaps and all of that. But I got through it, and I just had to constantly remind myself, keep your arm hanging at your side, don't move it. And again, I can feel it. Not hurting. I'm hoping it's not actually working against me as well as far as the process. But when I get out, I do my first set of exercises for the day after I get dressed right out of the shower. And then I usually do my second set around dinner time. But I have not used the shower sling. And I'm just mindful that I have to not move my arm around, and I'm doing everything with my one good hand. And so far, so good. Haven't lost my balance or anything like that. But I guess maybe I'm getting impatient. The shower sling, it hangs, your arm hangs against your side. And so when you're trying to dry off of after a shower, there's a little more drying you have to do. And it just doesn't feel like I'm getting my arm completely dry. So I guess maybe I'm cutting a corner. Don't tell the doctor. but maybe I'll get back into using it again as I move through this. So next week on Monday, here in 2 days, I have my next PT session, and then the following Friday, another one. So anyway, I know I'm almost at 20 minutes here. So again, if you're going through this, I feel for you. I feel with you. For all of those that made videos, again, for the previous number of years, I've watched a lot of videos, and I've learned an awful lot from all of you and your experiences. So thanks for sharing. And I'm hoping that if anyone watches this, that you find something here that you can, incorporate or say, hey, I didn't think of that. I know I don't have any kind of earth-shattering details. Maybe I think I mentioned it before. I might put a video together of how I put my socks on. That is one thing I've gotten very, at least in my mind, proficient at. And thank goodness, because it could be just a cumbersome deal. And again, I know I'm fortunate for my health before all of this happened. And the dexterity that I have, I know not everybody is going to be able to take advantage of that. But if there is anything that I can share that will help you, that's the goal of these. Obviously, I'm trying to document my journey through this so I can maybe look back sometime in the future that I went through this. But I'm hoping that there is something that maybe you can, take hold of and make it part of your routine. And yeah, so all in all, everything's still going well at this point, unless something monumental happens, which I think that would be that would be something not good. I'll probably just maybe move to weekly videos. But anyway, so this is the 2-week update. Things are going well. I'm pleased with everything so far, and I wish you all the best going through your journey in this ordeal that you have to go through. This is not an overnight fix. It's going to take a lot of patience. It takes time. It takes dedication and discipline. And again, just be good to yourself. Don't drive yourself too hard. I mean, demand more from yourself, but also be realistic about the expectations. So anyway, things are good, and we'll talk to you soon.